The old lake had always been our sanctuary, a place where Ben, Mari, and I could escape the mundane world after high school. As the sun dipped low, painting the sky in hues of gold and crimson, we'd make our way to the water's edge, breathing in the crisp scent of pine and mist. Our ritual was simple yet sacred. We'd row out to our childhood treehouse, perched precariously on stilts above the water, nestled in the embrace of an ancient oak. The worn planks creaked beneath our feet, walls adorned with faded drawings and secret messages, a testament to years of shared memories. One evening, as we approached the shore, something felt off. A figure sat motionless on a nearby bench, his gaze fixed on the horizon. His clothes were immaculate, almost unnaturally so, and his stillness made him stand out like a sore thumb against the living, breathing forest. We exchanged uneasy glances, whispering among ourselves. The stranger's intense focus on the setting sun sent shivers down our spines. He wasn't from our village, that much was certain, and yet no one else seemed to notice or mention his presence. Curiosity gnawed at us, but we pushed it aside, choosing instead to stick to our routine. We took the boat out, spending the evening in our treehouse haven, laughing and reminiscing as always. But a seed of unease had been planted. When we returned to shore after nightfall, the man was still there, unmoved, unwavering. The wrongness of it all settled over us like a heavy blanket. The next evening we returned, half hoping, half dreading what we might find. And there he was again, in the exact same spot, with the same lifeless stare across the water. We tried to laugh it off, joking about some eccentric traveler, but the laughter rang hollow in our throats. By the third night it had become a twisted mirror of our own ritual. Mari spotted him first, nudging Ben with a trembling hand. "He's back," she whispered. Ben squinted, his brow furrowed. "What's his deal with the sunset? Every single time, ... We had no answers, only a growing sense of dread we couldn't shake. Still, we clung to our routine like a lifeline. Ben and I decided to tidy up beneath the treehouse, while Mari volunteered to gather firewood nearby. She planned a simple meal, grilled corn and gooey marshmallows by the lakeside. Comfort food to ease our nerves. The air grew unnaturally still, as if the forest itself was holding its breath. And then a scream shattered the silence, echoing through the trees. We ran, hearts pounding, branches whipping at our faces as we tore through the underbrush. We found Mari crumpled on the ground, her skin ashen, eyes wide and unfocused. She couldn't form words, only faint, garbled sounds. We half carried, half dragged her back to the village, straight to her father's house. One look was all it took before he rushed her to the local clinic. The wait was agonizing. When the doctor finally emerged, his words were a small comfort. Mari would be okay, physically at least. But something in her eyes, it was like a part of her was still lost in those woods. The next day, driven by a mix of fear and determination, Ben and I returned to the lake. A thick mist had settled over everything, muffling all sound. No bird song, no rustling leaves, just an oppressive, unnatural silence. We retraced Mari's steps to where she'd been gathering wood. What we found made our blood run cold. A perfect circle of strange objects on the forest floor. Owl feathers, fragments of bone, red thread knotted in complex patterns, and tiny pouches filled with colored powders and ash. It was like stumbling into a scene from some half-remembered nightmare. Without a word, we gathered the items, our skin crawling at every touch. We knew of only one person who might have answers, Ben's grandmother, who lived in a distant village and was said to know the old ways. The stories whispered around fires on the darkest nights. When we showed her our grim collection, the color drained from her weathered face. "Where did you find these?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. We spilled out the whole story, the stranger, Mari's collapse, the eerie circle in the woods. She turned to an ancient chest, pulling out a massive, leather-bound tome. The pages were yellowed with age, covered in arcane symbols and illustrations that made my stomach churn. She flipped through with practiced ease until she found what she was looking for, a description of rituals used to bind souls and steal life force. "These are tools of soul trapping," she said, her voice heavy with dread, "used to drain the vitality of the young and preserve one's own existence." She quickly fashioned a protective bracelet for Mari, weaving in blessed stones and charms purified with salt and sage. We raced back to Mari's home, finding her father at the door, looking haggard and lost. Inside, Mari muttered in a language none of us recognized, her eyes darting wildly as if seeing horrors invisible to the rest of us. We slipped the bracelet onto her wrist, and she went rigid before collapsing into a deep sleep. The doctor, summoned once again, could only advise close observation and perhaps a transfer to a larger hospital. But we knew modern medicine couldn't touch what was truly ailing her. That night, desperation drove us back to Ben's grandmother. She confirmed our worst fears. The ritual had already begun, and time was running out. To stop it, we had to return to where Mari fell and perform a cleansing ritual before the next sunset. Following her instructions to the letter, we drew a circle with salt and ash, burned bundles of sage, and chanted words from the ancient book. As we finished, a sudden wind whipped through the trees, scattering the mist. The very air seemed to lighten, as if the forest could breathe again. We hurried back to Mari's bedside, hope and fear warring in our hearts. To our amazement, she was sitting up, alert and smiling. "Did we go to the treehouse yesterday?" she asked, as if nothing had happened. We didn't push her to remember, grateful for this small miracle. We still visit the lake sometimes, but never again do we let Mari wander off alone. The bench by the shore remains empty. The stranger never returned. But we carry the truth with us always. Some places hold secrets older than time itself, and some eyes never stop watching from the shadows of dusk.